This is Advisorpedia, and we're at the Fearless Investing Summit presented by Nitrogen. And we're here with Kevin Knull, who's the president of TaxStatus. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you so much for having us.
Give me a little nutshell on TaxStatus. What does it do?
Well, simply put, we've built a direct integration with the IRS that allows advisors to obtain, with consent, their clients' data going back 10 years and the next 3 years, which allows them to do a lot of great things.
So year-end tax planning is coming up. How can advisors think about that in a better way?
Well, whether they're providing tax planning or financial planning advice, the information that's available from the IRS is substantial, and it's difficult to get. There's a lot of friction when you have to ask the client to provide copies of all of their information and their tax returns. We're able to obtain that digitally and provide that back to the firm via API or in a number of other ways and reports to help them prepare better for the tax season.
So how do you connect those dots? How does TaxStatus help with that?
Well, so we built an integration directly with the IRS that allows the advisor to send to a client or prospect a very simple process to request consent. That can take as little as 4 seconds or as long as a minute, depending on whether it's a client or a prospect. That client or prospect then provides permission for us to go to the IRS on their behalf, get copies of all of their tax information digitally, and then we're able to share that back to the advisor per that client's request. That's about 3,000 data points per taxpayer per tax period for individuals and businesses alike, and the amount of information is significant. So it provides a level of insight that's unparalleled.
Yeah. 2024 tax breach went on. So what are consumers most concerned about, and what can they do?
Well, consumers and advisors should be very, very concerned about this. 272 million taxpayers' IDs were disclosed this summer in the National Public Data Breach. That's just about everyone, right? And what that means is that your Social Security numbers are out there. And the biggest risk right now, which we just experienced as recently as Friday, I had an advisor inform me that as he went to file the return for his client, the IRS said, sorry, your client's already filed the return. The client hadn't. And that client actually had an $800,000 refund to do. Well, the fraudster filed the fraudulent return on extension, intercepted that refund, and now that client has an enormous mess because the IRS has to go and investigate the fraud, track it down, and it could be a very long time before that client gets their money back. But that's only one of the issues. Other issues would include, if you've got somebody's Social Security number, you could file for Social Security. You could apply for a job and collect your paycheck. Meanwhile, the real owner of that Social Security number has now got taxes due at the end of the year. And there's many other issues. So, my big concern is in 69 days, those fraudulent returns are going to start on January 2nd. And by the time you find out, the damage may already be done.
So we can see why it's important for advisors to have their clients' tax status. How willing are clients to give the taxes to their advisors?
Well, let me ask you, would you like to know whether somebody filed a fraudulent return on your behalf?
Absolutely.
You're going to go through the process, and again, it only takes a few seconds, and it's not much different than asking a client for a copy of their tax return. The difference here is we're monitoring that IRS account every day. So as new information changes and the IRS receives that new information, we can share that with the advisor, and they can in turn share that back with their client. And now the advisor is looking out for that client and watching out for them.
Kevin, this is a really valuable service. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.